Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the 9-time GSL champion, currently working on number 10 in the red, the man, the myth, the Maru. Facing off against the player who very publicly denied him several of those championships. In the blue, we have Rogue in a best-of-3 Terran versus Zerg showdown to kick off GSL 2025. And if you've been watching GSL for nearly half your life and over half of Maru's, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. And even if you haven't. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,623 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways, because without Maru, I don't know what I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get a little bit better than Maru, who has 6 Zerglings outside his base. Rogue waiting for the Reaper that doesn't exist because, of course, Maru went command center first. And now the Zerglings are coming in. There's no wall. Maru, not like this. He went command center first blindly. The Zerglings are in the base, ransacking the SCVs. This won't be a deadly attack. This was just supposed to start things off on an uncomfortable note. And indeed it does, but we're playing Ring Around the Barracks. Gets the Marine. And Maru's building a third command. There are 3 Zerglings in your base. He does not care. Okay. Rogue trying to take the initiative here. And honestly, I feel like the command center first is holding this better. One, he had a Marine at home, which you usually wouldn't at this stage of the game because the Reaper just... Notice how Rogue waited? That's because he was expecting a Reaper to jump out across the map. So... Maru will have 3 command centers, and Rogue did not have any gas behind this. This was just purely 6 Zergling rush. Keep him busy, and keep him on the back foot. But Maru... Oh my... Well, welcome back to GSL. Maru, the most Terran player of them all. 3 command centers, 2 engineering bays, and all he has for production is a reactored factory and a naked barracks. Well, Maru's more greedy than me for likes and subscribes. Now, this is the style that Maru has championed and used to great effect throughout many, many years, but also incredibly vulnerable to things like well-timed attacks or blind all-ins even. I don't think Rogue was expecting Maru to be so bold, but Maru, for the last several months, pretty much since GSL of last year, including the World Cup, well, pretty much every tournament outside of GSL, Maru has been a disappointment. There's even a thread on Team Liquid, I believe that's called. Maru did not play well today. Mostly filled with events Maru expected to do better in that weren't GSL. But it appears we're back. And Rogue off to an awkward start. Losing 2 drones. The Queens will politely yet firmly ask the Hellions to leave, but there's actually nothing Rogue can do to Maru right now because he did not expect to be dealing with such reckless greed. I'm interested to see. Does Maru just play out to the late game, or does he have something different? He's already getting an armory. This is just going to be almost a theoretically min-maxed sort of level of production. You cannot get upgrades much quicker than this in any sort of realistic fashion. His army is 2 Hellions and 3 Marines. But because of what Rogue did early, and because those Hellions already got in, there's plenty of it. Did he actually see the layer timing? He didn't, but he saw that the Roach was not upgrading speed when the Hellions did their drive-by there, which means there's even more time until he actually has to deal with it. Is he going to start 2-2 upgrades before Medivacs? It's plausible. I'm not sure if that's what we're going... Yeah, he is. He's getting that armory explicitly for it. But Rogue realizes that his best opportunity is exactly what earned him those GSL championships. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Stefano started it, Rogue perpetuated it, and guess what? We're back again. A rogue-like build indeed. A whole bunch of roaches and a strong timing, while Maru's being obscenely greedy. I feel like we've seen this series before, an entirely different set of maps, like almost an entire decade ago, but Maru's getting 2-2 and 2 medevacs. He's getting add-ons for all his barracks. There are 24 roaches coming across the map, and he doesn't even have medevacs yet. A changeling. Hey, boys. You want a piece of meat, boys? Well, there's a bunch of meat coming across the map, if you know what I mean. Who are you? Does Maru notice? One of these is not like the others. Hellions spot the roaches and ravagers. Medevacs are now out. It's almost certain he cancels a bunker that wasn't yet completed. No combat shield, Maru! Did not get combat shield. Did he notice? Does he care? He should. He's picking up his medevacs. I think that was a misclick. Starts combat shield now, but this is not enough. This is just simply not it. Corrosive bile. The roaches and ravagers are knocking on the door. The battering ram is here, and there's not enough to answer. One siege tank is possibly the difference between defeat and at least a delay. As Maru, you cannot just go 3cc with no units into only upgrades. Okay, well, here comes Roach, smashing down the depots. Already a double depot involved. Maru will drop out. That lack of combat shield makes it incredibly hard to engage into the Roach Ravager with numbers like this. Even with an upgrade advantage, it's just the sheer weight of all these roaches. Maru's supply blocked, but he's going right for the hatchery. SCV's pulled. The boys are off the line. Second siege tank finding huge volleys on the Roach Ravager. And the Marines and Marauders will hold at the front for now. He actually took out the 4th hatch. Corrosive bile misses the mark on the tank. And, well, finally finishes it off. Maru will live for now. 2-2 upgrades now completed. He has enough to start 3-3. That would be ambitious. He's already got a 3 upgrade advantage. Finishes combat shield. I can't stress how incredibly efficient these were. I don't need to. You can see it. Like, the Marines and Marauders microing back. Corrosive bile will still kill Marines in a single volley. But starting to take better trades, try to use every little bit of energy on those medevacs. Is he winning this fight? Indeed he is. 1 medevac knocked out of the sky, but the Ravagers are getting chased down. Rogue missed a lot of corrosive vials that were supposed to land on the tanks. He got them eventually, but he may be starting to regret those misfires just a bit. He doesn't have that 4th base. He lost a few drones. Maru's keeping him busy on the other side. There's still a changeling mixed in. Rogue, the master of changelings. The double drop, just gunning everything down and taking out Marines with... He's working on 3-3. This is... It's... Does he have a hive? No. So, the closer Maru gets to retaking his 3rd, Rogue is not dealing with these drops very cleanly. There's a path here for Maru. I mean, so far he's not been shut out, so... The 3-3 upgrades on the Marine Marauder, he's going to still maintain that 3 upgrade advantage. Finally, the medevac goes down, just target firing more drones. Double drop heading out again. Roaches on the doorstep. Ravagers as well. But Rogue, without the economy, is unable to max out reliably. He still has so much. But Roach Ravager just simply does not age well. The closer the Terran army supply gets and the better the upgrades, it just scales better. Medevac knocked out of the sky into the forest. Very sad. I don't know how many Marines are in there. At least a couple. Changeling spotting. Taking out of the perimeter. Rogue, what have you done? 200 supply, but Maru's keeping him back. He wants to retake that 3rd. The infestation bit is only halfway done now. Rogue is maxed out, but seems to be at a bit of a quandary here. Trying to figure out whether he should attack or just defend. He's settled on defense and teching up to Hive, but it took him a long while before he committed to it. Maru just dancing out of the corrosive bile. Afterburner's helping out a lot. Only 40 SCVs. Maru's sticking his neck out again. Even, I don't think that was a changeling. Keep them on their toes. 3-3 is now completed. Maru will have that 3 upgrade advantage. He's got 5 siege tanks. His army supply at 100 to 132, but here comes Rogue from both sides. The pincer attack. Corrosive Bile's raining down, but not hitting the siege tanks reliably. Rogue! Rogue! Oh, no! And Maru holds. Rogue completely whipped it across the board. I don't know if he killed a single tank with Corrosive Bile. And now Maru is dead even on army supply. And the upgrades might spell Rogue's downfall. This is a disaster now. The unit composition is absolutely mediocre. Whereas Maru has the best he can get until Ghosts. Just a bunch of siege tanks, dudes with drugs, guns, and a hatred of illegal aliens. Maru always makes me feel right at home. Well, the banelings are rolling in, but the siege tank fire is withering. The corrosive biles slowly chewing through. Rogue has the numbers, but the tanks, he's just not hitting the tanks. He finds some of the medevacs, but he's completely off the mark with the biles. And right now, Rogue is, I hesitate to say choking, but that might be me choking on the analysis. He needed to hit those tanks. He simply did not, and now Maru is tearing him apart. These upgrades are ridiculous. The drones are pulled off the line. Definitely not as comfortable in a fighting situation as the SCVs. The medevacs are nearly out of energy. Maru still has very little economy back at home, but he does have mules, and he still has the medevacs overhead. No Vipers to contest it. No Infestors to hold him down. The medevacs will regain energy, and even though right now it's a medevacs for all policy, with not nearly enough Marines, there's more than one medevac per Marine, which, you know, that's the personalized treatment everybody dreams of. Rogue is holding on, but Maru saves a tank. Another one misrallied. Drones off the line, trying to use some of the broodlings to fight. But the moment he attacked it and those siege tanks were starting to get those, the theoretical max of splash damage back at the natural is when there was some concern. And now outright dismay as a fleet of a dozen medevacs overhead. Maru with the presence of mind to start adding some liberators on. Another base will be hit, but this one obviously explodes to the sea. It exploded. Exposed and exploded combined. All right, seems appropriate here. But Rogue has let this one slip. And Maru, with almost a callous disregard for his mortality. But in that sort of scenario, that's what you need. And investment in upgrades and mind-tricking Rogue into attacking into such a terrible location. Oh no! Rogue goes right up against it, and Maru guns him down. And suddenly, Maru's up 1-0. It looked like he went 3cc into double NG bait against a Roach all-in. You can't get much more hard countered than that. But apparently Maru's not playing the same game. I don't know what happens to Maru when he loads up in GSL, but I'll have what he's had. All right. Maru 1-0. I came in. So Maru has been, I believe he lost 0-4 in Pig's tournament. Got knocked out immediately. He's been playing Protoss sometimes. I mean, he's always been a very good Protoss player. He's like the proto-Clem. There was a time when he was the first or second best player on the Korean ladder as Protoss, but never in professional matches until recently. Let's hope that he doesn't continue to... What are you doing? I mean, at least he's going barracks first, but... So he's trying to set up the barracks so his add-ons are not exposed. And it feels like this is a very forward. He's really putting himself out there, isn't he? Rogue with the pool. Rogue definitely weirded out by Maru with the command. Who goes command center first? In this economy? Thing is, the commitment ended up working out for him. Rogue's builds, he probably practiced entirely against, or at least the vast majority against, Reaper Expand. I can't remember the last time I saw someone just do command center first. Maybe on one of those crazy, like, neon violet square, but not on ley lines. Rogue taking that naturally. And it's not even a Reaper. It's just a Marine. I was like, my wrist can't handle Reapers anymore, so he's going for the Overlord. No matter what this is, Rogue did not practice against it. I can tell you, if he did, it was by accident. This is just a... He's hunting the Overlord, the Marines. A second Marine has come down. He's going for the Pervert Pillar, but... No, no! Shh! No Overlord. Sorry about that. Not sure what that was. Overlord gunned down, popped like an overripe tomato, and I can tell you that throws off early Zerg build. It's not hard to throw Zerg out of whack. And losing that first Overlord not only denies scouting, but it throws off the entire build. Rogue gonna have to build another one to replace it. Throws off the larva. The scouting is a big part of it. It's just generally uncomfortable. Is it better to pick off the first? Well, if you can pick it off, I think it's better than going for the Reaper Scout, assuming that you're not getting Roach all-in immediately. If you just build the Marines to deny the Scout, like push it to a Pervert Pillar or something, not worth it. But the fact, I'm sure he knew he could do that, because if you just send the OV straight across, there just happens to be a lack of locations to hide it. So Maru seems like he's come prepared. I honestly wasn't sure. It's been a disappointment straight up watching Maru games for a few months, but GSL's back. And here we are. Doesn't mean Rogue is out of it. Already lost an Overlord, not the whole series. Four Hellions. And he just... Oh, get up! No! 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 You shall not pass! Nicely done, Susan. I always knew you were that thing. Excuse me, we're identical twins! Yeah, but I was born first. By 2 seconds! Sorry. Hang on. The Queens... able to keep the Hellions at bay. They try to circle back around, but... again, be shut down. Mineral Walk helping out. And Roach is popping out as well. But this has kept Rogue. His drone count has been limited. And Maru is only now going for a third command center. He's got the 2 barracks with Stim. Casual Liberator in the main. No Spore Crawler. Just now getting one, but Rogue was anticipating something like this medevac push, but a wrinkle here with the Liberator existing. Oh, that is crazy. I love that. Is that powered by dead Zerg? Excuse me. All right, moving on. Double upgrades on the way. The trajectory, you know where Maru wants to end up. Marines, medevacs, and siege tanks. But the road we take to get there is very important, because if you take the wrong road, you might miss your turn entirely. Or crash into a wall of roaches. The analogy breaks down after a while, but the roaches zoning out the Hellions. Infestation and Hydrodon on the way. Feels like Rogue wants to get all the stuff he neglected to last game in a timely fashion. He's accepting this game will go past that initial Roach. The Roaches should have worked. I stand by that. I scurry by it as well, but Maru, it was a combination of Rogue dropping the ball and Maru sliding it slightly out of the way. Now Liberator flies past the Spore, gets taken out. Rogue is actually supply blocked. Must have lost an Overlord somewhere, but Maru helps him out with that by burninating through part of the countryside and taking out the drones. Hellions get 6 drones. Double drop heads to the main. The Queen's gonna have to scramble back again. Hive is on the way. Maru this time with combat shield in a timely fashion. Spore Crawler scurries, but way too slow to deal with this. The Queen's stuck in the main, drops back down towards the 4th base. And Maru keeping Rogue so busy right now, trying to micro some of the Roaches back. Cute micro there. And oh no, the Hellions come back in for another round. And 6 more drones dead. The how many drones in total? 13 between the Hellions, the Liberator, maybe some of the Marines. Keeping Rogue at bay. No Lurker. Lurker Den now on the way. He didn't start it alongside the Hive though, which means it's still a while out. No Hydras on the field. Rogue has definitely been interrupted repeatedly here, but not shut down. Not completely turned around. The trajectory towards Hive and Lurkers and probably Vipers is still intact. Though Maru has done a lot to keep it from being overwhelming. Another Obi down. Has to replace it. Ooh, Corrosive Bowels actually clipped the medevacs. Couple Vipers, and enough Overlords to max out, though another one! Wow. How many? 3. And an Overseer. Feels like a lot more, but, you know, they die painfully. And moistly. Vipers finishing. Lurkers on the way. Lurker range has just begun. This is the most dangerous time, at least for the near future for Rogue. He's not going to have any of these Hive Tech upgrades. He's invested several minutes of his income into. But if he gets them, then Maru is in a tough spot. 85 to 65 workers. Maru with just 3 bases. I don't believe he even has a 4th command center. He's not all in quite yet, but he's really leaning on this attack. Rogue is going to have to give up his 3rd base. He knows he needs the Vipers, at the very least. Lurker range would also be great, but Vipers with energy are how you defend this. Some Spore Crawlers. Doesn't want the medevac count building up again. The Infestation Pit is back here, which is a little awkward. Wait, did he kill the Hydra Den? Oh my. Rogue. Tell me why. Did you put your Hydra Den there? The closest thing to what he was looking at the time when he remembered he needed a Hydra. Okay. The Siege Tanks. Lurkers have range, but Siege Tanks have more. Retreats up the ramp and the concave from Maru. Oh no. Another devastating fight. Not really a fight. That was just bullying. Maru only lost a few units there. Yanking in the Siege Tanks, though. Still getting some shots up. He's sieging up mid-yank. And Maru just rips him apart. Stims across the map. And that brings us to Maru's 2nd series. Against the Canadian Protoss Trigger, who also qualified for GSL. Yes, we're just dismantling Rogue. Maru in GSL and Maru in anything else. Well, we'll see if that holds true against our foreign Protoss player. Not as common to really use that terminology nowadays. For so many years of StarCraft 2, foreign was non-Korean. I'm a foreign caster. Trigger, a foreign player. not as common since players like Maru no longer dominate nearly as regularly as, well, let's be honest, European players. But since Cyril, Clem, and to an extent Max Pax have carved out their place, it has no longer been. Though Korean players, I think, in general, still make up the majority, especially if you don't combine Europe into one big region. Of the top 20, I believe 8 to 10 are Korean players currently. But yeah, the era of it being Raynor also qualified for GSL. The era of Cyril barely beating someone. How times have changed. I'm just reminiscing and so many things coming back now, but Trigger has been one of, if not, I guess, Estrella and Trigger, the top 2 Protoss from North America. Both of them, I don't know if this is the first time Trigger's been in Korea, but congratulations. A lot of notable players didn't make it into the GSL for this kind of condensed season, but we had Raynor and Trigger, and I don't know if any other foreign players attempted and didn't make it or didn't participate. I'm not sure about Estrella. You know what? I should stop speculating. We got to look these up beforehand, Jimmy. Edit that part out so I don't look so dumb and unprepared. But for those who don't know, GSL is going to be held over a couple weeks of, well, if you're watching this in the first day or two, next couple weeks, and there will be another one at the end of the month. The idea is to finish them up before the Esports World Cup in July or August, as the winner of the tournament will be qualifying automatically. Twilight Council's on the way. Reaper dancing back and forth. Yep. Can dance if I want to. Can leave my friends behind. JK, I don't have friends. I'm a Terran player. All right, Reaper, that's enough. I mean, true, but... Sorry. Blink is on the way. I'm interested to see Maru's take on Terran versus Protoss. For non-Clem Terrans, it's a real struggle out there. Clem has set a standard unreachably high when it comes to early game micro and timing. The margins are so very thin when it comes to dealing with Protoss timings, and vice versa. But you've got the kids table of Max Pax versus Clem. You've got the Thanksgiving table of Hero's drunken uncle versus Clem, which is odd because neither of them are American, and that's a pretty uniquely American reference with a lot of weird history. And moving on, but everyone else kind of looks like they're doing a poor impression. All right, everyone outside of Clem, Hero, and Max Pax, or Clem playing Protoss, and that includes Maru and Trigger. And so far, well, it's Blink and a Robo up against Cloak. Banshee? Huh. Now that's a rare Pokemon. Now, the Cloak Banshee on paper should not be very good. Or we don't play this game on paper, or even the digital version in the YouTube comments. Having a unit that can kill workers and require detection can always be a devastating option, whether it's to drag units out of position or to exploit the fact that they're across the map. And right now, Trigger has his Stalkers already on Maru's doorstep. Maru has left the building awkwardly. There is no observer spotting this. Did he just snipe a second tank is intercepted? But the Cloak Banshee is in the main and already killing some of the probes. The robotics facility is done. The observer is coming back. Maru's going to get 5 probes. And that will put him in the worker lead despite the 3rd Nexus on the way. Not where you want to be as a Protoss player, but the siege tank not ready yet. Blunks over the top. Gets it in just a couple volleys. SCV's around. There's only one observer cloak. Banshee adding to the damage. Might be able to cancel the Nexus. Gonna work on the Marines. He's eating the damage from the Banshee. A second Banshee! He brought it from the main! And oh no. Is that egg on my face? Or are you just happy to see... the Banshees might not be helping with the Nexus, but they're enough. Even an SCV leading the charge. Trigger is just coming apart. He will defend every part of this. But at what cost? The damage has been dealt. Maru just commits to killing a few more probes. 45 to 34 workers. It's a disaster. A cannon in the main. The Banshees did the damage. Again, on paper, not the ideal choice. But in practice... Trigger can't be happy with that. He needs to get some counter damage done. But there's already 3 siege tanks. A Raven. The Banshees... Well, at least one of the Banshees lived and he rebuilt another. Or built another. So with 2 Banshees back at home and the Raven to potentially snipe observers... Oh, the Banshees are headed out again. Not sure if that's better or worse, but this is just simply not enough Stalkers. He doesn't have the potential. He needs to retake that 3rd without taking more damage back at home. Trigger built a cannon, which is good for detection, but only has so much range. As demonstrated here, the siege tank in position. Oh no. It's a bit of a disaster. Even depowers some of the gates. A scan. That's like almost a GG scan. Like a, can I win the game now? He scanned the natural, sees the Robo Bay on the way. It's not completed yet, which means it's the perfect time to move out. The tech has not yet kicked in, and it might not be kicking at all. Maru. This is GSL. I feel like at this point we have 2 different Marus. We have GSL Maru and non-GSL Maru. Alright. Trigger has... They get charge? Yes. Has a dozen zealots. But the siege tanks, the Banshees join up with the army. Bruised, but still a lot of DPS. The charge lot slice up a tank, tries to save it. Great engagement angle for Trigger. He takes out all 3 siege tanks for minimal cost. Some of the reinforcements as well, coming back around. Auto turrets to distract. And Trigger turns this all around. Beautifully done. Picked his timing exactly when he needed it. And suddenly Maru in a much more awkward spot. There's a Colossus on the way. And that is how quickly things can change. Trigger knew exactly what he needed. He needed to get those factory units off the field. Knocks out the Raven as well. There's still a Banshee overhead. I don't see an observer nearby. Banshee's about to run out of energy for Cloak. A single Widow Mine. Will he blink out of it? Does so. But that does use the blink for a few seconds. Banshee coming back around again. Maru still rallying across the map. The supply gap is opening up quite wide right now. That fight, it looked okay, but the reinforcements are heading across the map. Colossus, the last line of defense. The tallest one so far. He desperately needs it. Lances the mine. The boys! Maru sending it all the way across the map. He spots the boys. The Colossus. Force field. Nothing to break it. A great angle to help out with the Colossus. No shield batteries done yet at this base. Energy recharge on a sentry. Force field can hold the line. And Trigger this. He's almost got a second Colossus completed. He's waiting out the force field here. Another force field trying to catch him between a rock and a hard place. Maru's going straight through. Banshee. Uncloaked. Widow Mine. Not triggered. Shield battery on the back line. Marauders get big hits. Not enough. Banshee recloads for a split second, helping out. Shield battery draining of energy almost immediately. Marauders pounding the Colossus. No, the Colossus is stuck. Oh, and he oh no. A house Colossus. Trigger. That Colossus was done for at least 10-15 seconds. Oh. Your first I don't know if it's his first GSL. He may have been in last year, but still. Not like this. And honestly, how long? How long was the Colossus? This Colossus steps down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's in the fight right now. Right as the shield battery is I think he holds. Oh no. Oh, that hurts so badly. I think that's the difference. Honestly, this fight, with a second Colossus as this part of the fight starts. Oh, he holds. I'm pretty convinced. Like, if a second Colossus is hitting these units as they run forward. Yeah. He probably still loses one, but he's and also he's mismicroing because he's trying to figure out where his Colossus is. Oh no. Ugh. Oh, that hurts so badly. Maru with a great timing, but honestly dropping the ball a bit. Trigger picked his battles very carefully. Every single battle he picked incredibly carefully. The pathing on his Colossus out of his robotics facility, not as carefully. And I've never seen it, well, that's one of the most clear examples of that one mistake potentially losing you the game. And it's not just that the Colossus wasn't in the fight, it's that he clearly was trying to figure out what happened to his Colossus for several seconds. Several incredibly key moments. And those moments cost him everything. Alright, so Trigger not out of this yet. Still has an opportunity. As soon as he found his footing, for a few moments, it looked great. I know he has the, in a perfect way, he has the micro, he has the control. But that certainly wasn't perfect. Can't believe the Banshees did so much. They really exploit any lapses in attention. The weakness of the Banshees is if they just either deal with them immediately or send them across, or send Blink Stalkers across. You just don't have very many units otherwise. Like, you're reliant on the Banshees to do almost everything. And they did. So, reliable enough. We're back on ley lines, but this time for the Terran versus Protoss showdown. It's so bad. Unfortunately relatable. I've walled off a unit or two in my day. Not on such a stage, but that's nerves right there. You're playing the 9-time GSL champion and you're in a incredibly stressful scenario, but not one where you're necessarily losing. In fact, I think it got more stressful after he won the fight in the midfield, before Maru pulled the boys. Like, that's even worse, because he won a fight. Like, now I have a dream. Before, you're just kind of getting picked apart by every Terran unit. But you won a fight. You can win. Ah, it hurts. Like, viscerally. Adept microing around. Are you gonna let him out? Well, there's no... Ah! Recall. Recall. He could probably get an SCV killer, too. He's waiting out the one in the refinery, maybe? Well, this Adept has been keeping it busy for quite a bit. Almost makes it out, but finally taken down. Maru juggling. The Reaper doesn't need the medevac. It has its own jetpack. Gonna be Blink on the way. Stalker's already looking for exactly this. Boosts are directly on top. Stalker might be just taken out. The Reaper makes sure of it. Maru hitting with pretty much everything he has at this moment. The probe can be used. The sacrifice. Clearly Maru's gonna... We're gonna dance around the Widowmon. Wow, he gets a cancel? That's crazy. He gets a cancel with, like, a stick of bubble gum and a shoestring over here. Maru, more like MacGyver-ru. Now CV's pulled to repair the medevac, which means Maru's just going to continue to work this angle. Ooh, turns it around. SCV's on the ground. Blink is done. No shield better yet. This Nexus would have been done if he didn't cancel it before. Uncloaked Banshee just adding some damage. That tank. SCV repairing the other SCV who's attacking the Nexus. But he's just going to give up the Nexus? Maru just keeping the pressure on so strongly here. And all these shield batteries. The Pylon nearly done. Whoa, saves the tanks for a moment, though loses the medevac. Wow, and almost every single Stalker is taking... He's just rallying Banshees. Did he just win the game? There's no units. Like, he has 4 Stalkers. There's not enough to deal with. He's building a Colossus, but even a Colossus is not... Against Banshees and Siege Tanks? Oh, no. Oh, no. It's a disaster. Another Colossus conundrum. GG! Maru gets out of his group 4-0. And it, besides a single misplaced Colossus, it wasn't really that close. Like, wow. And now it's time for our anti-spoiler bonus game. With both of the victims facing off. Rogue versus Trigger. But, oh my. Maru back to dominant form, as we've seen in the past. But honestly, I did not expect to see again. But we'll see how these two face off in a single highlight. We're on Pylon, which feels a little biased. Then again, we do have Ultra Love in the map pool, but nobody loves Ultras. Everybody loves Ultras, but nobody wants to build them. Everybody wants to build them, but nobody wants to lose. That's more accurate. Pylons, on the other hand, we'll always see, so not as exciting, but... I think Trigger had a moment. Rogue! At no point did it look like... Well, before he first attacked, with the Roaches and Ravagers. It looked like he would win against Maru. So I guess both these players looked like they had a chance. In fact, a good one. But Maru dismantled them. So, we'll see. Honestly, I have no idea who I'd favor in this match. Rogue, not nearly as adept, puns intended, in Zerg versus Protoss as he is in Zerg versus Terran. Though, today, eh. Stargate's on the way. Trigger sticking with it. This map, actually very interesting, has watchtowers very exposed. Rich Vespine. There's a surprising amount of bases, but there's a lot of like being able to attack from behind. Like a very corner base. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of dramatic macro games on this map. And I've played it a bit. Has turned out to be a very dramatic one. Dramatic, not just necessarily turtling to 5 bases, but it's certainly on the table. Oracle on the way. Contemplates dramatically. Just don't go Glaive to Depths. I'm gonna be very upset if he just casually goes Glaive to Depths. Only Hero's allowed to do that. And even then, it's not a good idea, but it's only because Hero didn't even think beforehand. And yes, Hero will work his way into any conversation about Protoss. Oh, shiny. Ah, yeah, this is the most exciting part, how shiny the bridges are. Reminds me of, like, the Halo light bridges. Yeah, but unlike Halo, this game has a bunch of plucky humans with power armor. It has a kind of bug/infestation-based swarm. It has a bunch of high-tech aliens who are intent on, like, a religious war. And it has a race of ancient aliens before everything that kind of created all this drama. Anyway, Zerglings get into the base. Brenda, no! And we're walking. You call this walking? We're going as fast as we can. Okay. Why can't we fly any? You know what happened in the war. Okay, we said we wouldn't. Lucille, hurry up! We're at the same speed. You guys got a head start. We've arrived. Sorry. Well, the most lackadaisical queen push. It's 3 queens and, like, whatever Zerglings you can put together. This is ridiculous. Trigger and his third base is having a bad day today. Are you gonna go home? Bunch of adepts. Cannons on the way. The oracles just melting through the drones. It's not like Rogue could really afford to lose too many of these. Loses 8 drones. He's actually sacrificing the oracle. 9 drones. The adepts just taking the queen. Let us in! Just taking the queen hits. Probe maybe not the ideal place. Doesn't want to hard wall it off and let the Zerglings through, but now this is awkward. So there's clearly not enough DPS to... Oh no. No, 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 no! Get up! No, but the map! No, you were gonna say treat, but shut up! Oh, no. Well, the queens can't transfuse because they don't got their toes on creep, which is required. It's the law. Trigger, unfortunately, keeps rallying the probes to his third, which does not exist currently. But the queens will be unceremoniously executed as they attempt to retreat, which was never going to happen. Retreating at the speed of a glacier. Meanwhile, Overlords. Blink is not quite done yet, and the Zerglings about to become very aware of it. Though, 2 seconds. All the Stalkers that were going to die end up dying anyways before Blink completes, but... Overlords kind of hung out to dry here. Yet again. 5 Hydras on the way. Well, there's a good count of the Blink Stalkers, but they're not done yet, and he doesn't have Hydra Speed completed. Trigger still had a decent probe count throughout all this, as Rogue committed so much and lost a whole lot of drones to the Oracles as well. Good target fire. Takes down a Hydralist. Stalkers blinking back on the ramp. Trying to target some more of the Hydras, but moving a lot of the Stalkers forward into the Lings and Queens as well. And I think Trigger will be driven back here. Though, if Rogue, well, a surprisingly even fight. +1 is done. Blunks forward, gets another Hydra. And Trigger not willing to give this up. He knows what he has. And it's an obligation to keep the Hydra count down before his Stalkers get overwhelmed. And so far, doing a great job of it. Hydras and Queens kind of working around, trying to figure out an angle that they can all get involved. Targeting one after another, but the Stalkers are starting to fall just as quickly. 18 Stalkers, 15 Hydras down. Of course, that includes the Stalkers back on the other side. A dramatic game so far. But both sides begrudgingly acknowledging that it's going to continue. Rogue adding on an Evo... Wait, is that his first Evo chamber? Wow. 8.5 minutes and hundreds of units in. Meanwhile, the robotics facility and the Templar archives for Trigger clearly indicating he's teching up even further. But the creep is already quite far out. Without the robo and with the oracles dying unceremoniously, he had no detection to clear the creep, and that means the Hydras can use it as a springboard yet again. Force fields strongly discouraging the Hydras from moving forward. They're not feeling discouraged at all. The Hydra count is... I don't think that's enough. You gotta be a little careful if you blunk forward. He goes for it. Rogue was waiting for it, turns on the creep. And again, we'll go our separate ways. But not too far. I don't know if that was good or bad for anyone. I feel like... No, it's about even. I'm trying to come up with an advantage for either side, but Rogue is working towards Lurkers and a 4th base. Trigger's working towards Storm and Immortals. I would favor Trigger a bit, but he doesn't really have any map control, and there's still a lot of Hydras for Rogue. So with the Lurker down on the... Oh, wait, he didn't have a Hive. I'm sorry. I'm so used to a Hive just being almost tied to the Lurker den. He didn't have an infestation pit. This is kind of the same situation against Maru, where he's working with, like, one hand tied behind his back because he never really invested in the tech to untie it. And, well, it's not like Trigger has an army that's just going to win the game. Though Storm is probably the closest thing to that. Unupgraded Lurkers are still dangerous against such a low count of Immortals, and Trigger, bit of a hair trigger there on the Storm. The bridges. For now, the Lurkers. Always dangerous. Storm hits hard. Softens up many of the Hydras. Knocks out the Overseer. But the Lurkers will hold the line for now. And a Fleet Beacon is on the way. What a tense game between these two. Still anyone's, truly. Rogue with a great counterattack, just right-clicks on the Nexus. The cannon's not going to be enough, shuts it down. There's no charge on these Zealots. He's actually fighting the army, but Storm returns fire. Rogue now at 69 drones, which is nice enough, but not so great for late-game economic tech. Trigger at only 62 probes, but he's already invested in much of his tech. so he doesn't have quite the obligation. And Hive isn't done yet. Still very, very tense. I'm surprised. Usually you don't see so many actual fights. You see a lot of dancing around, but they've been fighting. They've been brawling the whole time. Almost makes me disappointed this is our bonus game instead of our highlight series. Maybe we cast it again and nobody notices in like a week or something. All right, Jimmy, write that down. But you're still watching, so thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Mothership is on the way. All the fixins across the board now. Mothership, Tempest, +3 ground weapons for Trigger. We got +2 ranged attack. Lurker range, adrenal glands, and Hydra lunge. Creeping those outside bases. The Zerglings managed to get in because the charge lots are too enthusiastic about their jobs. And then are shut down by yet another warping. Something's got to give. They're still going. We're finally going to be maxing out. It's a testament to the aggression of the game so far. Oh, the mothership overhead. Forcing the issue. The Hydras are very technically an anti-air unit. And Rogue conspicuously without a Spire. The Lurkers will burrow. Storm. We'll try to carve them out. And Rogue trying to force the issue. Time Warp used. The Lurkers spread out to minimize the potential storms. The Tempest count is growing, leaving Rogue with precious little answer to the actual Tempest. Spire now on the way. That's a long way off. He's gonna try to crush through. That's so many Lurkers, though. The ground army is getting diced to pieces. But the Immortals are coming in from the side. No, it wasn't enough. Trigger. He wanted to drive this back, but the depth of the Lurker line slices through him. I feel like he didn't need to push out there. The pressure was on. Rogue doesn't have an answer long-term to the Tempest yet. Trigger jumped the gun. Which, you know, seems kind of appropriate, but the Mothership really needs that to stay alive, but the Hydras lunge and knock it out of the sky. Oh no, it's a disaster for the Canadian. Rogue kind of baited him into this fight almost, it feels like. And now is reaping the benefits. He put the pressure on. Well, very important. Trigger doesn't have another base. He felt obligated to defend here and now. So many times when we see this composition work for Protoss, they give up bases in favor of keeping the army alive, no matter what. Go down to almost no income, as long as you have any mining. But Trigger tried to defend the base, and it cost him his army. And that's not something he can really rebuild. He doesn't have another mothership in production. He doesn't have that many Tempests overhead. I believe he only has one... Oh, he has 2 Stargates, but... Rogue has taken the advantage. I don't think he's going to let it go very easily. He's got Corruptors on the way. That was the... At best, Rogue was hoping to get Corruptors to survive until he had real anti-air. But Trigger handed him the army on the ground. And now... I think it's nerves. He qualified for GSL. He's fighting against literal champions, players he probably grew up watching as a less professional player. And now, on the precipice of victory, he teeters on the chasm of defeat. The Tempest count is damn high, but the Corruptors are already coming out and Trigger's long-distance mining, which does not bode well. The Tempest popping the lurkers, one volley at a time. That's all he needed. He just needed the critical mass. Trying to re-expand. Single lurker. Rogue is mining from the rich Vespine base. Lurkers burrow down. 10 drones dead with the base. That's still a very strong Protoss army, worthy of unlimited respect. There are 4 Templar underneath, some of them with multiple storms. The Tempest gonna start chewing through. Needs a, if possible, an Oracle for Revelation. Almost kills the Observer, actually 1 shot away. Immortals and Archons boxing out for the 3rd base. But if he has no detection if he loses all his Observers. There's only 1 remaining, and it has like 1 HP. Which is always an awkward position for a unit that has barely more than 1 HP in the first place. Another army, Time Warp. Observer out in front, he gets it! Oh no, the Corruptors close in. The Lurkers slice through. And the Hydras. The Queen, we're back! The Queen may die, but her sacrifice not in vain. He can't hit the Lurkers, which means he has no chance to reclaim his base or victory. Oh no. Rogue holds on, draws him out, and Trigger. So close, but yet incredibly far. Both against Maru and Rogue. A tough day, but still an impressive show. GG. Rogue takes this one. So, our summary. Maru. The rumors of Maru's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Rogue seems to have a mental block against him right now. And Trigger, gotta work on the nerves a little bit. But still, some solid play. We'll be keeping an eye out. I hope you enjoyed the return of the Global StarCraft League 2025. Let me know which games you're looking forward to most. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons, Big Jiggy, Devin, Door, Mario, Random Guy, Suit, for bringing in the extra minerals. Glad you still enjoy, everyone. And I'll see you next time. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.